Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and to another episode of White Dwarf Retro Read Through. This time we're going back to May 1994 and to White Dwarf 173, which, as you can see from the cover, featured the undead quite heavily. And as was not often the case with these White Dwarf magazines, the cover artwork does actually correspond to some of the content of the magazine, whereas usually you get something on the cover that wasn't actually in there. Codex Space Wolves and Codex Ultramarines being a few examples of that. But this issue was also very special because it came with a free map of the Warhammer Old World, and it was a brilliant map. Sadly, I don't have it. I've been trying to find it for ages, but trying to find one on eBay is next to impossible. It was brilliant. There was loads of tiny little details on the map, and I just remember being fixated by it. I had it up on my wall in my room, and I would love to get my hands on a copy of that map one day again. If anyone could recreate it digitally, oh my word, I'd get that printed as a poster in an instant. But anyway, enough about the map. Let's have a look what was inside this magazine. So as I said, this was from May 1994. As usual with White Dwarf, we get a nice picture in the inside cover. We've got Eldar clashing with an Orc force. So we've got some old school Ulthware Guardians there with the yellow helmets. Shout out to Daz Latham, he still paints his like that. And then Warp Spiders, which we've just seen revealed, painted up in the old school way with the web pattern on the jump generator there, going up against some Orcs. And then we've got, for Epic, a squat army in close combat with some Blood Angel Space Marines. Really awesome. Now moving on, cover, as I said, Undead by Dave Gallagher. I mean, he has done some terrific art, hasn't he? And as I said before, we actually do have an article about the Undead, which is rare for a White Dwarf magazine. Inside front cover we've obviously just looked at. News as usual and new releases that are coming out. Heavy metal. So we've got Eldar Phoenix Lords for Warhammer 40,000. Now that's perfect timing because the Phoenix Lords are imminent now, aren't they? They're on pre-order. So they'll be coming very, very soon. So it's nice that we can take a look at the old Phoenix Lords. Then we've got an article about the old Phoenix Lords as well. Then we've got the Undead. So there's a Warhammer Armies Undead book that was coming out, and this was a special preview by Jervis Johnson and Bill King. Then Heavy Metal Studio, loads of stuff about the Undead, so they'll be painting examples of various different things. Then we've got Space Marine Question and Answers. So Mark Watts is delving into some of the most common questions over Epic Space Marine. 1994 Golden Demon Awards. Heavy Metal, the Nagaroth Nightmares Blood Bowl team. One of my favourite ever teams, the old metal Dark Elf team. And then we've got a Blood Bowl game report at the end. So the Reclan Reavers against the Orcs, the Death Squad. So let's have a look at what came out for Warhammer Fantasy. Warhammer Armies Undead, $9.99. Skeleton Warriors, $4.99. Cavalry, $4.99. I mean, we'll look at all the prices at the end of the mail order, but we've got an Undead Chariot, Skeleton Command Group, we've got Wights, Vampire Lord, Necromancer, Zombies, Zombie Command Group, Skaven Poison Wind Globadiers, Skaven Command Group. There's your Warhammer Armies Undead book. And then we had a Citadel Miniatures Modelling Guide, Eldar Phoenix Lords for 40k. So we had the Carnifex that was out as well, £15 for the metal Carnifex. We had Baharoth, the old one, $4.99. Janzar, Morgan Ra, Eldar Warlocks, £2.50 each. Warp Spider Exarch, $2.99. Games Workshop Sutton was a new store that had opened up. Got an advertisement there for working for Games Workshop for Germany. Games Workshop Australia, advertisement there as well. 2 stores in Sydney and 1 in Newcastle, Australia. The Citadel Journal, and then Blood Bowl, we had Nobbler Blackwar, Scrapper Sorehead, 2 awesome star players. The Auckland Raiders, $14.99. Obviously a play on the Auckland Raiders, which are no longer the Auckland Raiders. They're now the Las Vegas Raiders, but that's a whole different discussion. Nagaroth Nightmares, $12.99. And then obviously the 2 Scrapper Sorehead and Nobbler Blackwater, £2.50 each. And then there we go, Giant Warhammer World Map, free this issue. I would love to see that. So the poster was created by Games Workshop cartographer Simon Smith, who developed all the maps for Warhammer Armies series of books. I'd be interested to get him on the Warhammer podcast if we still could, and have a chat about that map. Eldar Phoenix Lords, there we are, we've got the old Phoenix Lords. You can see, obviously with the new plastic ones, the inspiration they've taken. They've not really gone way out there, have they? They've kept it sort of as an homage to the original ones. I mean, look at the wings on Baharoth. That's old school 40k, that, isn't it, with that colour scheme in your face. So you've got Baharoth for the Sweeping Hawks, Shanzar for the Howling Banshees, and Morgan Ra for the Dark Reapers. Then we've got Rick Priestley article on the Eldar Phoenix Lords with some of the background, and obviously rules for using the Phoenix Lords in your games of 40k. So movement, weapon skill, ballistic skill, all that sort of stuff from 2nd edition. 161 points, but another 25 points for the last blaster. And then we had Janzar with that amazing artwork as well by Mark Gibbons. Again, Mark's artwork there. I mean, he really did create some incredible pieces of art, didn't he? I mean, I love that silhouetted Dark Reaper there up on the hill. Awesome. Some nice little bits of lore as well. Again, just reading these articles just takes me back to owning this magazine back in the day and reading about the Phoenix Lords and thinking, I want those for my Eldar army. Games Workshop advertisement there. Old school warp spiders, obviously we've got the new plastic ones now, which are incredible, but a nice sort of update to the old ones. Warhammer Day battles, so events on in Glasgow and Bristol. And then we've got a special preview article of Warhammer Armies the Undead, so loads of background and stuff on the Undead, and some of the stuff that's going to be coming in the army book and stuff like that. Very, very interesting read. I don't know if you can see the text on the camera, but if you can, feel free to pause it and have a look through. I love some of this old artwork as well. But yeah, Undead, one of the coolest factions in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, especially the vampires as well. And then we've got some old miniatures there. Skeleton Warriors. We've got Whites there as well, and a zombie regiment. An old school, fully painted Undead army. Didn't half look fantastic on the tabletop. They've got stuff on the Land of the Dead and things like that. Tons and tons of backgrounds. So yeah, it's very, very... Stuff like this I think is missing from White Dwarf nowadays. All this sort of stuff. I mean, look at it. Pages and pages of it, and then we've got some fiction as well. Whereas nowadays you might just get a little block. Although I know they do Black Library excerpts in a modern day White Dwarf. It's just not the same. And then we've got the history of the Undead. Then we've got some more heavy metal pictures. So we've got Whites, we've got skeleton banner bearers. They've got some old school skellies there as well. There he is with his dupe. New Undead box sets, so Skeleton Warriors, Undead Chariot, and old school Skeleton Horsemen. Don't think those horses have changed much, have they? Just the riders. And then more lore on the Undead. So yeah, plenty of stuff. And obviously an old school piece of Mark Gibbons artwork for Nagash. What a piece of art that is. Absolutely phenomenal. There's from 1994. And it continues. So, you know, if you're an Undead fan, this is the back issue of White Dwarf you're wanting to be getting, really. It's absolutely rammed full of stuff. Some gorgeous artwork and plenty of lore on the Undead, Nagash, all things like that. Really, really awesome. Skaven, so we've got some poisoned wind globadiers with the gas mask there. We had a look at them in the mail order on the previous retro read through. They've got clan pestilence, plague monks there, and storm vermin as well. Loads of bright red colours there for old school 90s colour schemes. More Undead, so we've got Vampire Lord, White, Necromancer, Zombie Standard Bearer, another White, another Standard Bearer, and some zombies there as well. Look at these striped trousers. Fantastic. Again, this background and lore is continuing on the Undead. So it was like over 15 pages of it, so can't argue with that. Space Marines question and answers. So various things. So what would be your modern day FAQ on the Warhammer community website now, or issued as a downloadable PDF? This is what you got. So you would wait months and months and months, and finally they come out with something like this. So there's your old school version of an FAQ. So they're asking players about chaos and stuff like that. Does the aura of Slanesh, cast by the Keeper of Secrets, does it require line of sight? No. So that doesn't. So various stuff like that. And hit markers for Titans. What is a clear line of sight? What is obstructed, and things like that. The Bane Lord there as well. Shows you what parts you can hit and what parts you can't. So pretty awesome that they put this in White Dwarf. Sometimes the rules you got were the rules you got, and that is it. You have to work it out yourself, house rule it, or shake hands over it, or whatever. But we've got a nice FAQ for Space Marine here as well. So that's cool. Close combat as well, some FAQs and some diagrams as well, which help explain it. So in a way, this is actually slightly better than a PDF, where at least you're getting some explanations and things like that. Golden Demon 94 with that Dark Millennium artwork on the front there, £7 per ticket. Not too bad at all. Then some previous versions of Golden Demon. As I always say, are you old enough to spot yourself in the crowd? Were you there? I'd love for someone in the comments to rock up and say, that was me, that's me leaning over there shouting my head off, or that's me with the giant last cannon on my shoulder. That would be fantastic. But yeah, Golden Demon back in the day and Games Day, pretty awesome events. Everyone going on coaches and the store banner that you've all been painting up was pretty awesome. Games Workshop Ealing grand opening. Again, as I've said in previous retro read-throughs, you get your vouchers that you can take along and get a bit of a discount and things like that. And then we've got the Nagaroth Nightmares. So obviously we've got the new plastic version of the Nagaroth Nightmares, but this old school metal team was the one that just made me want to get into Blood Bowl. I did like Blood Bowl anyway because a couple of my friends were playing it, but as soon as I saw this team, I knew I wanted to play Blood Bowl. And bizarrely enough, I ended up getting the High Elf team first, the Galadriel Gladiators. But yeah, this team, fantastic. And I love the colour scheme as well, with the black armour and the purple clothing, whereas with the modern plastics they've reversed that, haven't they? They've got like the purple armour. But I think I might paint my plastic Dark Elves in this colour scheme because they do look mean. 2 different Witch Elves as well, which is nice. Don't get that in the plastic kit. They're pretty much the same, bar something in a hand. So yeah, really nice looking team. And then Blood Bowl 3rd edition, Jervis Johnson. This is like going over the new version of Blood Bowl that's just been released. And then there's a match report of the Reikland Reavers versus the Death Squad, the Orcs of the Death Squad. And then again, we've got stuff like diagrams explaining what's going on and things like that. So Jervis was playing the human team and Carl was using the Orcs. So you can see the Reikland Reavers there. These are the plastics that you got in the box. And then you got the Death Squad with Morgan Thorg there as well, and Griff Oberwald was part of the human team. I've got this old school Blood Bowl box. It's hidden away with the miniatures unpainted, still the plastic minis. I've got Death Zone as well. But then game set up and then turns 1 through the rest of the game, explaining what's going on and stuff like that. Awesome read. I won't spoil it for you. If you've got this magazine, you need to have a read of this because it's quite amusing. But as I said, if you can see the text, feel free to pause it and have a read through. Take a look at what's going on. Again with the you got the pitch layout there and what's going on. Oops. Crunch. Oh yes, the classic crunch. 8 turns in total. And then continuing on into the second half. Games Workshop Romford. It's quite a meaty battle report actually. Games Workshop Ipswich. So I'll just look at each page. I'm not going to go through the match report obviously because it'll just bore you to tears if I'm reading it. But as I said, feel free to pause it and take a look at what's going on. And then again, 8 turns as well. Some old school art there as well. They still use that on Warhammer Community, but a coloured version of that. Well, it's not slightly different anyway. Very, very interesting report, but yeah, good fun, good read. Mail order, again, we've got Blood Bowl there as well. I mean, look at that. You just can't beat it, can you? And then, as I said on previous retro read-throughs, mail order, at the time you could just ring up. If you had the product code of the individual piece of metal that you needed, you could get it from mail order. It was brilliant. Can't do that nowadays, but back in the day you could get pretty much anything you wanted. So looking at some of these prices, Warhammer Fantasy Battle $34.99, Warhammer 40,000 $34.99. Now interestingly, the last retro read through we did was White Dwarf 185, which was May 1995, and if I can remember rightly, in that magazine it was $39.99 for fantasy and for 40k. I'm not sure about Space Marine, but them two were definitely 40 quid. So £5 price increase from 34 to 40. So that's quite a lot considering what prices go up nowadays. That was a big jump. Warhammer Armies, the Empire, High Elves, Orcs and Gobos, Dwarfs, Skaven, $9.99 each. Self-adhesive banners for Orcs and Gobos, High Elves and Dwarfs, £3.50 per pack. Undead, Dieter Helschnick, $14.99. Mummies, £1.15 each. Carrion, £2.25 each. Then we've got all our new skeletons. So box set for 12 plastic skellies, $4.99. Skeleton Horsemen, $4.99 for 3 of them. I mean, the way those horses go together, I wouldn't pay more than that anyway. I'm having nightmares to my Old World box. Undead Chariot, one plastic Undead Chariot, a £5. I mean, you can't even get a meal at McDonald's for that. You know, you can't complain, can you? Skeleton Command, £1.50 each. Whites, Vampire Lord, Necromancer, £2.50, £2.25. Silly prices, but it was just the norm back in the day, wasn't it? Dark Millennium, 1999. All your codexes. So Codex Space Tools, Codex Eldar, $9.99. Codex Ultramarines would come out a couple of months later. That was $9.99. And then Imperial Guard as well. And then your Phoenix Lords, £5 each. Baharoth, Janzar, Morgan Ra, Karandus, Scorpions X, Phoenix Lord, a Sermon. Just seen a new one of them. He's out soon, isn't he? Fantastic looking plastic miniature, £5. Fugan, whatever you want to call him, £5. New Warp Spider Exarch, $2.99 each, and Warp Spiders $2.25 each. And then Eldrad Ulthran, $4.99. Warlocks $2.50 each, and a Farseer £2.50 each. The Metal Count Effects $14.99. That was a chunky model, wasn't it? Blood Bowl £30. Nobbler Blackwater and Scrap Sword we saw were $2.50 each. Nagaroth Nightmares. So 1 Dark Elf Thrower, 2 Blitzers, 2 Witch Elves, and 7 Dark Elf Linemen. So, you know, it's 12 miniatures in the box for $12.99. Pretty good. Auckland Raiders box set. These were the metal ones, $14.99. And then we've got Space Marine, $34.99. Space Marine Battles was a tenner. And then your 3 square boxes with all your cards. So Armies of the Imperium, Renegades, which was Chaos and Eldar, and Auckland Squat Warlords, $14.99 each. Man of War, £25. I mean, what a game that was. £25. Plague Fleet and Sea of Blood, $14.99 each. I just watched one on eBay go the other night for Sea of Blood, and it went for £128, and it wasn't complete. So it just goes to show you how popular Man of War still is, because it always goes for daft prices on eBay. I'm determined to get myself a complete copy of Sea of Blood on one day without paying over the odds, but chances of that happening are slim to none. Mail order form, as I've said previously, all you needed was the code, put it in there, send it off with a postal order or something like that, or just ring them up and pay by credit card or whatever, or just place your order. All your undead stuff, so Whites, Vampire Lord, Necromancer there. Then we've got Dieter Hellstick on the Manticore there, hell of a model. Then we've got mummies. So some of these mummies are absolutely brilliant. I would love them to do a made to order of some of these old school metal mummies, because they are really cool. And then moving on, got more undead. So we've got Zombie Standard Bearer, Musician, and various different zombies. So much character in these old metals. I really do like them. And what I also like as well is, see these holes here. I never noticed that before. In all the time I've had White Dwarf and all the retro read-throughs I've done, I've never noticed that there's holes here. Were you meant to cut these pages out and file them so you had like a massive back catalogue for mail ordering bits? Because that's what I would do nowadays. I would create a file of all this stuff, have it in sections for various different armies, but the only problem is when it changes on each page. But yeah, pretty impressive. Maybe you could photocopy them and do that. Skeleton Command, Drummer, Hornblower, and another Drummer there, Standard Bearers. And then you've got Carrion there as well. Almost looks like a Dark Angel's Watcher in the Dark, doesn't it? Plastic skeletons there. I mean, I shudder just looking at that kit. Skeleton Horseman, and an Undead Chariot. And then moving on, we've got some Marauder Minis. Some Skaven and Clan Pestilence, Plague Monk Command there, so Champion, Musician, Standard Bearer. Again, Storm Vermin Command, Musician, Standard Bearer, Champion. And then we've got the Globadiers with the Globadier backpack. And then for Blood Bowl, we've got Nobbler Blackwart and Scrapper Sorehead, £2.50 each. We've got that awesome piece of art there for Blood Bowl 3rd edition and Blood Bowl 3.5 when they had it with the blue border. And then we've got our Eldar, so we've got Warp Spiders, Warp Spider Exarch, and then another awesome piece of Mark Gibbons art there for the Warp Spiders. We've got old school Bughead Farseer, old Eldrad Ulthran, still a stunning model to this day. That's a really nice miniature. Old school Warlocks as well. These two are very famous Warlocks, aren't they? I mean, every time you think of Eldar, I can't help but think of these Warlocks anyway. And then moving on, Karandus, the Striking Scorpions Exarch there, Phoenix Lord I should say. A Sermon, as I said, we've got the new version now. Fire Dragons, Phoenix Lord, Morgan Ra, Janzar, Baroth. All the old school Phoenix Lords, which we're now seeing finally done in plastic, with the exception of Yonman. We still need to see this. I don't think they've forgotten about him. I think they just still doing something with it. I can't see it being an oversight. That would just be a massive clanger. But I mean, you never know. I do think we'll see a new plastic one though. And then moving on, we've got the Tyranid Carnifex. Big, massive, wonking, chonking chunk of metal. I remember that being quite an impressive looking miniature back in the day, even when it was painted in ridiculous colours. But it's one of those, again, if you knock it off the table, it is going to hurt if it hits you, and it's also going to explode. But yeah, fond memories of seeing that as well. And then inside back cover, Warhammer Armies Undead, another stunning cover as well. There's your army book for Warhammer Undead 4th edition. And then on the back cover, as usual, we do get a piece of artwork, a mighty undead horde. As I said, the fully painted undead army on the tabletop just looks absolutely phenomenal, especially with this old school terrain that they used to make as well. It doesn't half make it look impressive, but yeah, really awesome looking undead army there. I mean, look at these banners, brilliant. And then Hellsnick's banner there as well, really cool. And there's James as well. So that's obviously whose White Dwarf this was back in the day. You wonder if he's still got the old world map. But anyway, there we go. Once again, another issue of White Dwarf. Retro read through done and dusted. I've enjoyed this one. It's taken me back once again. Made me feel like it's 1995 again. And I'm back at high school just thinking about all the miniatures I can't afford and the stuff that I want. And then having that map on my wall and just thinking I want to go and explore the old world. Yeah, fun times. So anyway, if you've enjoyed this, do let me know by giving it a thumbs up. Let me know if you've enjoyed it, and leave me a comment. Let me know what your fond memories are from White Dwarfs back in the day. What do you remember? What are your favourite memories? Did you have this magazine? Do you remember it? And did you have that map? And more interestingly, have you still got that map? Because if you have, you're sitting on a piece of gold, I think. Let me know as well in the comments, is there an issue of White Dwarf that you want me to do for retro read through? It doesn't have to be from this era, you know, 2nd edition and 40k and 4th edition fantasy. It can be from whenever you want. Anything older than 5 years, I would say, is a retro read through. Let me know in the comments if there's any issue you want me to read through. I might have it, or if not, I will go on eBay and see if I can find it and do a retro read through for you. So yeah, do let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I always enjoy reading them and replying. It's probably the best part about making these videos, to be honest with you. I want to keep doing these. I do enjoy making these videos. I know they're not going to get a lot of clicks, but I don't care. I always have a whale of time reading through these. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with me. I know it's often a long video and you're listening to me wobble on about all the things I enjoyed back in the day, and you know, get giddy over things from back in the day and all the bright colours. But as I said, if there's one you want to see, do let me know. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because that really will help me out. You don't have to press the bell notification, but do consider subscribing, because that will help me massively. It gets my videos out there, gets more people watching them, and it makes me want to make more videos as well. So if you could do that, I would massively appreciate it. But anyway, I've gone on long enough. Thank you very much for watching. As always, it is massively appreciated, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.